Welcome to the show. I'm Jen. My guest today is Myriah Mhoon, Chief Executive Officer of New Life Center. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jen.
I'm excited for you to share what an impact New Life Center is making in the community and educate people who may not be aware of what the organization is and really how you're supporting and changing people's lives. So I do want to jump right in and have you tell us who New Life Center is, who you support, what the programs are, so we can learn a little bit more.
Absolutely. So New Life Center is a domestic violence shelter, but we're also serving victims of sexual violence as well as human trafficking. Currently, we are actually the largest domestic violence shelter in the state, one of the largest in the country at 104 beds. We are in the West Valley, and what makes us really unique is our campus space. So we're casita set up. 70% of our population are actually kids. So we're bringing in the whole family, including children and even the dogs and the pets. And so at any day, we usually have around 60 kids on campus, as well as about 20 to 30 adults.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
I've been there and I was so moved and impacted. It's really important that you provide a special environment when they're coming in that situation. And you guys do such a good job of offering, a very home type feel, and the laundry services and the food services and the playground and the area where they can play games, or a library, or watch TV, or it's endless. And you have to create that environment for them that is as easy in transition to what they're dealing with.
Absolutely. So we call that the trauma-informed kind of experience, and the intentionality of space is just sometimes as important as, the services that people are seeking, that they need to feel like they're holding their own autonomy, that they're directing their next steps, but in the same way that they're being supported by our staff, by our team, that they're feeling safe. A lot of times our adults come on site and they say, it's the first time I've slept all night for the last couple of years, because they're finally bringing down kind of their stress levels, and they're finally feeling like they're secure and protected.
And I was going to say, you're creating that safe environment for them. A couple of the areas that really resonated for me is sort of that meditation yoga space. I thought was really, I'm a yoga person, and I know how important when they're dealing with all of those other factors, so something like that can be really special. The suitcases and that kind of
boutique
warehouse area that you have with, just something as simple as a suitcase, luggage that they can put their stuff in. And then Hope's Closet. Share a little bit about that. That's a great place that people can donate.
Yes. So Hope's Closet is our thrift store. It's down the street from our shelter. We are open. We closed a little bit due to the pandemic, but we're fully up and running. And what's amazing is Hope's Closet is actually a social enterprise. So it's not only meeting the need as a thrift store, but we actually have programming within the thrift store. So at any time, and in the beginning of one stay at the shelter, they can come and shop for free. Most importantly, when they're transitioning off of our shelter and hopefully in their own apartment or home, we are supplying mattresses, furniture, any housing, clothing need free of charge. And as you mentioned, once they're on site, it's again really important for us to lower all the stress. And so we're supporting them through 3 meals, 2 snacks. In 2018, we had 26 babies that were born at New Life Center. So we're supporting the formula, the diapers, anything that you would need that a person, again, in the middle of fleeing domestic violence or sexual violence or human trafficking probably does not have access to.
Yeah, so before you throw any of those items away, donate them because there's a lot of people who can use them.
Yes.
And as we're, dealing with what we have over the last year, we hear in the news that the number of people that are in those domestic violence situations has really increased. Have you seen that?
Absolutely. So one of the most disturbing trends that I saw in my field is that lethality, meaning death, went up in 2020 due to domestic violence. But even more concerning is that our beds actually stayed open at longer moments in time. So usually before, post-pandemic, we were always at capacity. There was never a bed open more than maybe 6 hours to a day. In 2020, we spent sometimes days, if not weeks, with those beds open. So when you put everything together and realizing that we were, protecting ourselves from the pandemic, we were also taking all of those access points for a victim or their family to go and seek services.
Wow.
So it's really important. We finally are trending back in capacity, but again, that speaks to our schools opening and our homes opening and work. So it's bittersweet, but again, we were open the full time during the pandemic, and we even had a COVID positive specific casita that was quarantined. We had a nurse on site. We wanted to make sure that in our mind, the most vulnerable mom or parent or dad that was experienced domestic violence was a COVID positive adult. So we wanted to make sure that we were providing safe space and respite as safe as possible on campus.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty exceptional. And those people knowing they have a place to go is unbelievable, especially feeling more ousted because of having COVID.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, your background and education is in human services, and clearly you do a phenomenal job of leading the charge there. However, you have a very unique and creative family and background for yourself and your upbringing. And I just thought that was really fun. And so maybe you could share a little bit about your artistically talented home with everyone too.
Yeah, I grew up in a very artistic, eclectic kind of home. My mom was a scholar and a speech pathologist, and so very much into the books. But the other side of my family, my father was a musician and was a drummer, and then he went into the music business. But they always instilled the arts within our growing up in our childhood. So I actually studied classical ballet to the point where I was doing that at the age of 14, 15, 8 hours a day, studying with Ballet Chicago. But, a lot of people ask, how did you get from ballet to social work? And I think, it speaks to kind of the nature of my endless kind of internal belief that the possibilities are endless. I think when I was becoming a young adult and realizing that there were people that did not have all of the privileges that I had, and that there could be a space for me to advocate and really kind of push for services or support within the community. My academics, my other brain totally switched off, and I said, yeah, that's really the path that I wish to take.
Well, and that's led to my next question: is what brought you to where you are today? From that experience, because as I read a little bit about you, you did say that having that experience as a dancer gave you some of that grit and focus to do what you do through your social services and dealing with people. I mean, that says a lot. So we make comments about people getting involved, and you hear what you do, and it's not as accessible for people to get involved. So I made the comment about donations, but what is a way that people can get involved and support the organization? Is it just donations, or what can they do?
No, we have a robust volunteerism program that, again, we're resetting after getting out, hopefully, out of this pandemic. And so we do have options. It is extensive, so we're doing background checks, making sure that everyone on campus is safe and fitted to be providing services and helping us on campus. If that's not your tune, we also have volunteer opportunities over at Hope's. So if retail or fashion, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities there. And then we are coming up to our 30th year anniversary. Wow. And so I would be negligent of not mentioning that we're always seeking donations. We are not 100% government funded. And so we are looking for champions within our community that can really continue to support New Life Center for the next 30 years.
Well, and it's a home environment. So you think about your own home, you're always wanting to update or do renovations, the wear and tear. So if you're servicing that many people on a continual basis, there's a lot of work to always be done to upgrade and fix and repair and all of that. So, that's part of really providing, those services for people.
Absolutely. Our campus is around 20 years old, and it was built for New Life Center, which is very unique. But each casita has its own AC unit and water heater. Our leaks are starting to, roofs are starting to leak. And so we're seeing that it's starting to age. And again, we want to make sure that intentionality of space is there for our clients for the next years to come.
Well, it's definitely one of the most impactful nonprofits that I've had the opportunity to see and walk through and understand what you do. So I hope that everyone got a little taste of that and will research more about New Life Center. And I appreciate all you do. And I know you juggle being a mom and everything else. So thank you for leading the charge at New Life Center. And knowing that it's one of the biggest in the country is pretty incredible too. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll see you next time on Now with Jen.